우주의 오늘의 마지막까지 남아있는 사람이 누굴까 궁금해 궁금해 규칙이 없는 규칙 속 갇혀버린 새는 날아가 점점 더 커지는 노랫소리 들려 성우를 채워봐 부숴봐 Hey kick and back up 나는 나를 향해 지지 한번 해 앞을 액션 보여줄게 밀어봐 주지 한번 사는 세상 난 나를 위해 살아 망상 같은 존재 그게 나니까 자극적인 세상에 환상을 만들어 모두 바꿀 거야 난 내게 어린 나를 막는 모든 장애물은 지금까지 모두 부서졌어 실패표도 다시 피어나지 틀린 건 나야 몰랐겠지만 하였어 Hey kick and back up 나는 나를 향해 지지 한번 해 앞을 액션 보여줄게 믿어봐 지지 떠오르는 건 다 한번 해보는 거야 고민해도 바뀌는 건 없어 흐르는 시간 위 저 파도에 올랐다 신나게 달려 아침까지 더
なんか変だよねまだ慣れないな君のことが気になっちゃってる誰にも内緒ねなんでいるのかな少し嫌になるうまく笑えなくなっちゃったの君のせいだから明日って休みだけまでもいいか朝を目指しましょうおはようっておやすみって何度だって会いたくなるよね二人ぼっちちょっといい感じ好きと好きがリンクする一人ぼっち去っていく温度優しさをリロードしようダメなのかな答えないで何したいの教えてほしいどんな私なら君は好きですか望み通りになってみたいけど
Hello, everyone!
噛み合って与え合ってそれはきっと
Mm.
素敵なことだよこれだって
So, please enlighten me. What is this choice that you've made? Are you sure? Let me ask you this before we begin this stream. Are you fucking sure that you really want to hear me read these stories that I wrote when I was in 5th grade? No, not even 5th grade. I think I may have lied about that. Because I was in middle school, so it was between 6th and 8th grade that these were written. I have a binder in front of me that says on it, writing binder, stories, books, fables, myths. You guys, this was not a choice that should have been made, in my opinion. Like, I want to break this fucking binder. Well, we have multiple choices because I wrote multiple stories. Let's see. And I'm gonna be reading these mostly blind because I haven't touched this binder in a very long time. The only reason that I was able to put quotes and stuff in the thumbnail and sending us a bit of a snippet is because I skimmed the beginning of them to kind of remember what they're about. Oh my god. I know, it is my fault. I should not have even offered. I really shouldn't have offered. I for some reason I didn't fathom that it would ever be chosen because I didn't think it sounded that interesting. How could you? No. Will you really? You'll make a clips channel. That is very sweet. I need to start like making my own damn clips. Maybe after this stream I'll start making some shorts so that I can actually get more traction as a YouTuber. Because what I struggle with, right, is I'm not growing, like, at all. I've been pretty stagnant with my number of followers, and it's because I'm not consistent with uploading, and that's totally my fault. But I really need to get better at it. So, yeah. So maybe after this stream, I'll make a bunch of shorts that I can upload over the next week or whatever. You are? No, you're not. Stop it. Okay, let's see. So, we've got, there's 1, 2, oh my god, they're so long. 3. Okay, so there are 3 options. Well, let's see. There's a 4th option because it's shorter. So, there are 3 options, and you have an optional 4th choice that's like an add-on. Like, you can choose to also have me do it with you. So, basically, the add-on choice, the optional choice, is a choose-your-own adventure that I wrote. And I'll tell you the general plot of each of these stories so you can choose what you would like to hear me read to you. I'm gonna play like lo-fi and read these for you. It'll be very interesting. I'm so scared, you guys. So the choose-your-own adventure that I wrote is about being shrunken. Like, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, basically. Like, you're accidentally shrunk to the size of a bug, essentially. That is that one. And then the 3 long stories, you get to choose one of them for today. And, you know, if we might not even get half, like, this is fucking long. We'll see. I might have to skip some parts just because it's so long. We'll see what happens. Maybe it'll just end up being just a longer stream. Who knows? But basically, okay, so the first one, I think, is about, like, this girl and her brother that move into a new house and find a ghost there. None of these stories are finished, by the way. So you're gonna have to deal with that. Yeah, so that's the first one. The second story is the longest and arguably the strangest one. It's about these 2 girls that I think are like mischiefs at school. Like, they get into trouble all the time and they like steal something that like transports them to some evil dude's lair or something. And there's like a lot of supernatural elements in that story. And then the third story is called Life as a Panther, and it also has supernatural elements. It's basically like Warriors, like the book about cats, except it's you know, obviously much worse written, and is about 3 panthers, and that is all I remember of those 3 stories. So please feel free to suggest whatever you would like to hear first. Hello, welcome, Kresnik. If you'd like me to go over the story options again, let me know. But again, they're all pretty long, so I don't know how much we're going to be able to get through today. If even one of them. I don't even know if we're going to be able to get to the end of one of them because they're so long. So, you have made this choice, and now you must reap what you've sown, okay? Yeah, Krez? Okay. Okay. Good to know. I'm so glad that you're listening to this. I won't regret this at all. I'm positive. I'm positive that I won't have a single regret about doing this on stream today. So yeah, so those are the options. I'm gonna let you guys marinate in that, but until then, how are you guys doing? I want to do a check-in. I miss you guys a lot. This next week, I also want to stream about 3 times. I'm gonna start really ramping up with streaming. I think that most of my trips for the year are over. I think I have maybe a couple more places to go. But for the most part, I shouldn't be messed up anymore. So hopefully at the beginning of each week, I will get out a schedule. I will try after stream today to put one out for the rest of the week this week. And I'll also try to post more shorts and stuff because I really need to get more traction before I make an actual debut. Oh my god. Multiple stories mean I'm so fucked. Okay. Well, so we've got the ghost story, I don't even know what to call it. The like isekai story or the panther story. And then we have a choose your own adventure. Those are the options for today. Hi Ink, welcome in. Yeah, I'm trying to decide which story to read you guys right now. I also have a choose your own adventure, but I'm not going to read that one unless you guys actively participate. If you're not going to give me answers as I ask these like questions, then there's no point in doing that one, because otherwise I'm just gonna be sitting here waiting for an answer. So yeah, those are the options. They're all very long. Oh my god, I'm getting really nervous just even flipping through these. Okay. Okay, so the ghost story, oh god, I barely remember anything about any of these. I'm pretty sure the longest one though was the isekai story, and then that's also the silliest one. I'm pretty sure there's an Indiana Jones section. I'm like almost positive. It's an adventure. Oh, and also in this notebook, I have a random picture of my dog from years and years ago. So he's like really young and it's kind of cute. I have a sheet of scratch paper from, it looks like chemistry, maybe? They're like random numbers scribbled down in random units and stuff. And then I also have a piece of paper that has like a big nuclear symbol drawn on it and Radioactive by Imagine Dragons. I like wrote all the lyrics of that song on this piece of paper around that symbol because I thought I was cool and I really liked that song, I guess. This is literally from over a decade ago, I think, so this will be a really fun adventure that we can take together. All right, guys, so this is your last chance. I gotta get at least like one suggestion for a preference for which story to read. All right, so again, one more time. Your options are the ghost story. It's about a girl and her brother who move into a new house and find a ghost there. The second one is like an isekai story about some like mischievous girls who steal something and get teleported to like an evil dude's lair, I think. And then the last one is called Life as a Panther, and it's basically Warriors, except it's panthers. Like Warriors, the book series about cats, except it's with panthers. There are 3 of them. That is all that I know. Come on, friends. Which one would you like to hear? At least first. And then I will just, based on the traction of this stream, or like, you know, if it's well received, I'll do it again in the future, alright? And I'll read you another story. But you gotta pick one. You know, or you could just say dealer's choice. And I'll like, pick one myself. If I don't get a decision by 3:20 EST, so like 4 minutes now, if I don't get a decision, I'm gonna pick myself. But I think that you should get the decision because this is an important choice. This will determine the course of the rest of this stream. Warrior cats, but larger. Yes, because they're panthers. That is the third story. The ghost one? Okay. We'll do the ghost one first. Okay. Yeah, sure. All right, let me set the mood. We're gonna dive into this, people. We're getting into it. All right, so I'm gonna have some lo-fi going. I'm gonna bring my mic close. And I'm gonna read you these stories, all right? Oh my god. Brother, you didn't. Epic new moon clips. How many, like, YouTube channels do you have now? You have, like, at least 3, don't you? That's pretty crazy, man. Well, welcome to the stream, person I've never seen before. Alright, let's get into this story. Are you guys ready? Keep in mind, everything that I say, I wrote when I was in middle school, which was over a decade ago. I am a better writer than this now. I swear. I swear to God, okay? So, that being said, I'm going to begin now. At the end of, like, every page, I'll find a stopping point, and then I will check up on the chat if there's anything going on. If not, I'm just gonna keep going. All right? Are you ready? Let's fucking go. Let's remember what you did in the Minecraft server. No, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna talk about that, all right? Are you ready? So I'm opening my writing binder. It says stories, books, fables, and myths, and there are pictures of books drawn on here. Here, I'll tap on the cover for you. Was that satisfying? Okay. So none of these have titles except for the Panther story, so I'm just gonna call this one The Ghost Story. 20-minute videos, hell no. Okay. I opened the car door and slid out slowly. I slammed it, opened the trunk, and pulled out my suitcase. My parents and little brother had already gone inside the house. I glanced up at it. Poorly shingled, old, peeling paint. I knew that moving was a bad idea. I took a deep breath and shuffled up the steps and into the house. Carly, my little brother Max called. Carly, he screamed. What? I moaned. We've been in the car all night and I didn't sleep. Cut me some slack. But I'm hungry. Make me waffles, he demanded from the kitchen. Okay. We're not that far in, and I'm already not liking this brother character very much, all right? He needs to chillax. How old is he? I didn't say yet. Okay. Depending on how old he is, this might be forgivable. We shall see. Honyo Jutsu? I don't know if I've heard of that. Okay, anyway. He demanded from the kitchen. Ask Mom, I'm going to bed, I mumbled, still half asleep. But yours are better, he whined. Without replying, I strained up the stairs. I heard Max begin his fake crying tantrum. I ignored it and picked a nice biggish room. Very descriptive. I flung my stuff into the corner and thumbtacked some posters on the walls so Max would know it was my room. Wait, so we literally just got here and he's demanding waffles? Bitch, if all of our stuff from the last house is packed up, how am I supposed to know where the fucking waffle maker is? I can't make you waffles. Are you serious? Okay. Where was I? The mother. Carly, make your brother waffles, my mom called just as I collapsed in my surprisingly soft bed. How was the bed already there if we just moved in? What's happening? I groaned so she could hear it downstairs and rolled over. I heard her thunder up the stairs. I turned my head to see her. She was menacingly looming over me, bright red, teeth clenched, eyebrows knitted together madly. Look, I get that you've got things to do, but I do too. Make him waffles or I will go insane from his screaming. We just moved in. Mom, please. Oh, good, Minso. Good job. I'm glad it's working out for you. Let's see. But Mom, Carly Mae Jefferson, do it, or I will pull you out of bed and make you. We just got here. Can you chill? Jesus, woman. She went back downstairs. I sighed and heaved myself out of bed. I slinked down to the kitchen. Max immediately stopped quote unquote crying and followed me. Yes! Can I have s'more waffles? I stared at him. Chocolate chips and mini marshmallows? He asked. I'll give it a shot. Anything to shut you up, I thought. I poured mixed Bisquick and water onto the waffle skillets. That is somehow there already. After one side was done, I flipped it and put Max's toppings on, marshmallows and chocolate pieces. When it was done, I slid it out onto a plate and handed it to the little brat. I can no longer thrive in this waffle-demanding household. My poor mother is like suffering over there, apparently. He swiped it and headed off to the dining room, where an array of sprinkles, chocolate syrup, and whipped cream had already been laid out on the table. How? How, like, didn't we just move in? We literally moved in, like, a page ago. And there's already, like, the house is already decked out. Like, we're already ready to go. Okay. I watched him use at least half of every ingredient and shuddered. I forgot how tired I was and went to the living room. I jumped onto the cushy couch, grabbed the remote, and switched on the TV. Max popped his head through the kitchen entrance, his nose down, smeared in a mix of his sugary nightmare. What? Okay, he goes, that was fat, and then, oh no, oh, I say, that was fat. Like, I'm starting to say that was fast. Okay, and then he goes, is that Shrek? He interrupted. Go wash off first, I scolded. Yes, Mom. He stomped off anyways. I watched Shrek throw a giant sunflower in front of a door and storm away on the TV, I'm assuming. Max leaped onto the couch next to me. I feel so bad for Shrek, he said. Yeah, whatever. I rolled my eye. Fuck that dude. I watched a knight and his army ride over the hill. I smiled. Max saw and giggled. He's no knight in shining armor, Carly. He grinned. Watch. I watched him snap his fingers and two knights pulled him off his horse and his legs. I'm describing the plot of Shrek right now in this story. I'm like blushing. This is so embarrassing. They placed him on the ground. He looked like an overgrown, ugly little doll. I frowned at him. I don't like him either. Max read my expression. I ignored him and watched him pull Fiona down to propose. They got on the horses again and headed back towards the kingdom, leaving Shrek behind. Then I saw it. As he was riding away, he turned, looked me in the eye, grinned horribly, and waved. I stared until he vanished over the hill. Was that? I stammered. That was not part of the movie, Max replied. I pressed the rewind button on the remote to watch it again. Fiona and Farquaad got on their horse and rode off with the other knights like a parade. We both focused intently on the screen, but this time Farquaad just rode royally over the hill. No grin, no wave, nothing. Max and I gawked at the screen. I'm gonna go eat something. Bitch, you just had waffles. Max bolted to the kitchen. Oh my god. Do I clip stream? I don't know. That's up to you. It's your channel. You can do whatever you want. I'm also getting brain rot. I don't know why the fuck I wrote this. I quickly turned off the TV and set the remote down on the coffee table. I just stared at the black TV screen. I sank further into the comfy couch and put my hands on my head. Hey, Max came back in, gnawing on a cookie. Anything to explain that? I asked. Maybe we were just imagining things. Crumbs sprinkled onto the carpet as he spoke. How did we see the same thing then? I asked. He took a large chunk off the cookie. Max, I demanded. He licked his fingers. Maybe they screwed up on the TV channel. Maybe they were editing and messed up. The ghost just wants to RP Shrek. You are so right. Let's see. Max flicked a chocolate chip at me. Who cares? It's not like it was a ghost, Carly. Everyone knows they don't exist. Wow, that was real subtle. He casually stuck his hands in his pockets, spun around, and walked upstairs. I sighed. He was probably right. He was almost always right. What? He's a fucking bitch. I went upstairs. I paused by a closed door right before my room. I heard Max inside. Get the door open! It'll blow! It won't budge! It's stuck! Oh no! We're gonna die! Explosion noises. I'm assuming that this is like him playing around in his room by himself. Hopefully. I tried really hard not to laugh and went to my room. I began to reach for my phone, but decided not to touch any more electronics for a while. Instead, I grabbed my book and flipped to my dog-eared chapter. I flopped on my new bed, which is somehow there, and began reading. I had only read a sentence when I heard I thought that said a Shrek. When I heard a shriek from Max's room. I heard a slam. Then I saw a flash of his red shirt, and he was suddenly crouched on my bed next to me with a wild, terrified look on his face. What? Wait, he was just in his room and we didn't see him enter and he just fucking appeared next to us? What the fuck? And then my only response is, Objection, ghosts are... Oh, I made it the fuck... What is happening? It moved! It moved! He was focused on my door. What moved? My action figure! So? I didn't move it. You probably bumped it. I rolled my eyes. No! He sounded strangely confident. How do you know that? I watched as he turned and grinned at me. He shivered and looked me dead in the eyes. You have to believe me. His eyes were starting to water. By his expression, I could tell that he was not faking it. Okay. I got up and went to the door. I stepped gingerly into the hallway. Wow, God, these sentences are so fucking poorly structured. It's just so uncreative. It's terrible. Wow, the death flags for this child just appeared over the horizon. I stepped gingerly into the hallway. I pressed my body against the space on the wall between our rooms. I saw that Max's door was closed and stepped in front of it. I grasped the door handle and frowned. It was as cold as ice. I glanced back to my room and saw Max peeking at me, now by my door. I looked back to Max's door and saw frost creeping upwards from the bottom of it. Before it froze the door in place, I took a deep breath and flung it open. A blizzard erupted in my face, like a real blizzard? In my face. I heard a high-pitched noise that sounded distant and then realized it was me screaming. I couldn't tell I was screaming because of the blizzard, I guess. A gust of wind and snow blew me backwards. I tried to get up, but more blasts of wind knocked me flat on my back again. I rolled onto my stomach and crawled for the door, although I could be about to ram into a wall and I wouldn't be able to tell. All I could see was white. I looked around. All around me was wind and snowflakes blowing around. Then I saw a dot of darkness ahead of me. I slowly made my way towards it. It grew taller and slightly wider until it was a shadow of Max's door. I crawled over it and grabbed the bottom of the real door. Oh, okay, I saw the literal shadow, I guess. I forced it shut inch by inch. The wind and snow blowing out of it fought back. Where the fuck is my mom during this, by the way? I anchored my feet, still on my stomach, and shoved it shut. The blizzard immediately ceased. Max was staring at me. What? He asked. What did you see? What? I realized I was somehow on my feet again. So none of that was real, I guess. That just wasn't real. We went from Shrek to Toy Story. Little bro is Sid. No fucking way. I pulled a chunk of my hair in front of my face. Completely dry, no snow in it. Max gave me a questioning look. I stared at my hair. Then I realized. Wait, what do you mean, what did I see? I tucked my hair behind my ear. Max looked at me with the crazy person look. You kind of opened the door, screamed, and slammed it, he said. What? You didn't see the blizzard? Blizzard? Are you okay? He cocked his head. What? I gaped at him. Then I marched back to the door. The frost had receded. I felt the handle, room temperature. I turned it and cracked the door. No blizzard. It was just calm and quiet. I looked back at Max. He was staring at me oddly. I turned back to the door and looked into Max's room. I saw his little army men, some blue, some red, to distinguish their sides. Sorry, this music is distracting me. Oh my god. No, I can't listen to that. That's gonna freak me out. Okay, I think we're fine. Jeez, that was weird. Anyway, one stream is 2 gigabytes. Yeah, that's why I struggle to make shorts, because it takes forever to download. Welcome, new viewers. I'm so sorry in advance. I pushed the door open fully and walked closer. They were scattered everywhere, probably because of the explosion noises I heard. Then I saw what Max was crying about. In the middle of the toppled soldier mass, there was a single standing soldier. His fake plastic coat was red. He was staring straight at me, eyebrows bent, a grin stretched across his face. It was an evil grin, just like Farquaad's. Sorry, that caught me so off guard. It was an evil grin, just like Farquaad's. I stared at it, and it stared back. Then it spoke without moving. A voice seemed to come from the inside of it. I wish you luck, it said. I stepped back. What? I asked. Your new home is haunted, and if you're not smart and quick, you and your family will be dead by morning. By morning? I glanced out the window. Sure enough, the sun was sinking. Already? Yeah, seriously, I walked up in the morning with my suitcase, made waffles, watched Shrek, like maybe 2 minutes of Shrek. We went upstairs, and now it's nighttime. Good God. Oh, thank you. No, thank you. It's okay if it's in a creepy way. It's all right. Because I would prefer that because I'm already deeply embarrassed. I looked back at the doll. Well, since you're not killing me, can we trust you to help us? I asked cautiously. Are you fucking kidding me? Sure, he cackled, and the walls shook. Yeah, no, bitch. I took another step towards the door. What? Okay. It's now a battle. Either you leave or we leave. It's that simple, but I will be of assistance. I have lived here for much too long, and I'm prepared to leave. What? A sound like a sigh came from the doll. Is there any way you could become something less creepy? I asked. Like a human? He asked. Sure. I stared at the doll. Then I watched in awe as the color drained out of it. It was black and white. Then, next to me, feet began to form on the ground. He was fading in from the feet up. I watched. When he was completely formed, I gasped. He was a little boy, 7 or 8, with torn clothes, messed up hair, and cloudy blue eyes. He had long scars all over his arms and chest, and the torn fabric on his shirt was stained with blood. His jeans were also torn and bloody. I gaped. What? I asked. He gave me a sad look. This was me he stammered. When I died, he forced out. Why was I like, yeah, bitch, continue? Like, oh my God. Well, how did you die? I asked, if you don't mind. It looks painful. I'm a fucking bitch in this story. What the fuck? No, what's her name again? Goddamn. Carly? Carly's a bitch. He tilted his head down slightly. Then he looked up at me. The ghosts, he said simply. Carly? Max called softly from the door. Are you okay? Yeah, fine, I answered. Max walked in. He saw the ghost and the color drained out of his face. What is that? He clenched my arm. Don't worry, he's on our side. I doubt that personally. I brushed him off. Well, what's his name? Max asked. My living name, I believe, was... The ghost paused, remembering. Zachary. Max smiled. But everyone called me Zach. Max looked him over, and his smile was wiped off his face. What happened to you? Max asked. I died, Zach looked downwards. Well, obviously. But how? He stepped towards Zach. Max, back off. I grabbed him and pulled him behind me. Zach looked up, eyes watery. They killed my sister in front of me, then murdered me. He whispered. Damn, brother. Damn. That's fucking crazy. Epic and Joy's getting creeped. Hey, listen, when he died. They? Max asked. The ghosts did it, Zach sobbed. Can your sister help us too? I wondered. They separated us. They put me in the real world and her in the ghost world. He smoothed down his hair, but it popped back up to the way it was. I will never see her again. Max and I were silent. Do you want to borrow some of my clothes? Max asked. Yours are pretty torn up. The ghost glanced at Max. If I put any other clothes on, they will just change back to these rags. He gestured to his shirt. Why everyone need to know all of a sudden? Damn, yeah, for real, Courtney. Welcome. Let's see. What about a coat? Max asked. It will vanish. I am meant to be in the state I died in forever. But wounds are the only exception. They will heal over time. He lifted his rags to reveal his scarred chest. Max and I winced at how long and how many there were stretched over him. What did that? Max murmured. I remember hounds. They were the color of midnight and were muscular and huge. They had red, soulless, demon-like eyes. They were ferocious. He clasped his hands together and looked up at the ceiling. They pinned me down and held me against the wall, so my head was up. A tear streaked down his face. They made me watch as they did it. They grabbed her while she was running away. The beasts threw her down on the ground and slashed her across the chest. Then they sunk their fangs into her neck. She died shortly afterwards. I was screaming and kicking. Then they came to me. They slashed my chest open with their gruesome black claws. Then the two pinning me down brought up my head and plunged their claws into my brain, killing me instantly. Holy fuck, dude! That was a crazy bomb to drop, Zachary! He just dropped his entire fucking life story. Or his death story, am I right? Oh my god. The Angels of Death. No. Because is his name Zachary too? No. But no, this kid is like 8 or something. And he's like blue and gray. The paper. Yes. Yeah, the paper flip. Yes, QWERTY. These are in my, so basically these are stories that I wrote when I was in middle school. I wasn't allowed to have a phone until I was 13, so I did most things on paper. This was my writing binder. It is black and in silver Sharpie that is very like smudged and faded. On the front, it says writing binder, stories, books, fables, myths. And it's like a 3-ring binder, and there's just a bunch of loose leaf paper in here that I ripped out of notebooks. Yeah, and there are 3 stories. We might get through this one. This might just be a longer stream, and that's okay. I just gotta make sure to keep drinking my tea. Fun fact, most ghost souls don't know they're dead. Well, I didn't do research when I was in middle school. Let's see. Where was I? He was almost whispering when he got to the end. He turned and pointed to a big hole in the back of his head. Blood matted down the hair around it. This will never heal, he said. Or this. He put his hands on his heart. Dude, that's fucked up! Max looked like he was about to throw up, and I was in shock. Why would they do that to you? I asked. What did you do? They're dogs. I don't know. Maybe they didn't fucking like him. Maybe he smelled good. Nothing. I was trying to make the ghosts leave. My family was the original owner of this house, Zach said. The original owners? I asked. Yes, he said. The house was haunted already when we moved in. We have to solve this, Max said. Solve what? I asked. The mystery! of the house, why the ghost haunted it, that mystery. He leaned over and whispered into my ear. It looks like one word, by the way. What really happened to Zach? I gave him a questioning look. He's fucking doubted that story, dude? He walked out of the room. I went after him. What? I asked. Didn't you see them? Max asked. See what? I asked a bit loudly. Oh, see what? Quiet! He hissed. He had rope marks on his wrists and ankles. He did? I hadn't seen them. Yeah, and I think he wasn't the original owner of the house either. Why the fuck are... What is... How do you know that, Max? Who are you? Why do you say that? In the corner of the living room was a shattered picture frame. In the picture is him and his family. So? So why was I the first of all people who have lived here to notice it? And it wasn't old or dusty, and it was in color. That enough? He asked. Maybe they built the fucking house right before they moved in, Max. It could be a new house, you fucking asshole. God damn, leave him alone. Can't wait for the drawing my middle. No, I can't. Oh my god, no. Maybe one day. It's fine. Okay, let's see. Where was I? I stared dumbfounded at him, surprised that he noticed all these important details. What's more, why would he creep us out like that? Before he was a human, didn't he madly grin, shake the walls, that stuff? Why should we trust him? Max was on a roll. I was like, as a writer, I was like, yeah, Max, get it, Max. Why not? He's all we can trust right now, even if he is lying. We should keep an eye on him, but keep him as an ally, I decided. Fine. Max and I went back into the room. Zach was waiting patiently. So, have it sorted out? He asked. Yeah, and I've decided that we should go to the ghost world first thing. Maybe your sister could help us. He just fucking said he can't do that. I said to him. He shuffled his feet. Something wrong? Max asked. No, let's go. Zach staggered out of the room. Damn, dude, he's fucked up. Even if he is lying, he probably has good reason for it. Like, I don't fucking know, man. What is happening? We followed. As Zach and Max headed downstairs, I realized something. I stopped at the top of the stairs. Max, I called. He stopped. What? Where are Mom and Dad? That's a great question. Max went ghost white and ran down the last few steps and into the living room. Mom! Dad! Max screamed. No answer. This isn't funny! He yelled. It echoed throughout the house. Wait! Max, they might have gone out! He took some deep breaths. As he was cooling off, my eyes flicked to Zach's wrists. Sure enough, there were red rope marks circling them. On his ankles, too, just as Max had said. I watched Max again. He was calm now. I walked over to him and asked if he was okay. Yeah, you're probably right. What? He sighed. I heard a low piano key from upstairs. What? We have a fucking piano? We just moved in! Max is on the case for me. The parents are dead. I have no idea, dude. Let's find out. Did you hear that? I asked. Hear what? Max asked. Zach, however, was slightly more tense, and his eyes were opened wide, staring intently upstairs. Another key played, this one an even lower note, and even more quiet. That, I told Max, who was now staring upstairs as well. Zach began climbing the steps again. He was slow, even though he made no sound when he walked. Max and I followed his lead. We stopped at the top of the stairs. It was silent. Then the song played. The song. It was slow, sad, and gentle. It was coming from the room at the end of the hall. The three of us crept past Max's room, then my room, then an empty room, until we were in front of the door. I slowly put my hand forward and rested it on the handle. The music immediately stopped. Before I could twist the handle, a shock went through it. I jerked my hand back. The door opened itself slowly, as if it was inviting us in. We stepped inside. The door slammed and locked behind us, and just for good measure, the handle fell off. Alright, so we're fucked. The three of us stood back to back in the silence, waiting for something to attack. Instead, a searing light sliced through my skull. I screamed in agony, and Max and Zach crumpled to the floor. The flash went away, but I was still on the floor, clutching my head. I heard a giggle like a little girl and stood up. The slow, creepy song began to play again, this time a little louder. A beautiful voice began to sing along to the melody. There's a song written here! Should I make something up? Or should I just read it? I'm gonna try to figure this out. I think it's... Careful what you do, girl, if you don't watch your back. The ghosts in this haunted house are going to attack. They will pounce and you will scream and run in mortal fear. So if you're not careful, you'll be killed, my dear. Oh yes, be very wary, for if you don't beware, you and your brother are in for a scare. That must be it, because there are like dash marks where I was holding the word. You know, I could have put on a voice and all that to sing that, but no fucking way am I gonna do that, dude. Why did I do that? Why did I write that in there, man? Oh my god, I'm like losing my mind right now. This is like the worst thing I've ever done. Someone help. Oh, sorry, a bunch of paper just fell out of this fucking binder. All right. Jesus. We gotta sing along. Hi, Ivan. Welcome to the stream. All right, let's keep going, boys. that was rough. The voice cackled, and the music stopped. I was breathing hard, and my heart was thumping in my chest. I heard Max and Zach groan on the floor. What happened? Max asked, getting up slowly. No! Zach was doing the same. He looked shocked. Zach, are you okay? Max asked. Yeah, but that was the first time I've been hurt since I died. Only ghosts can hurt me, so that was strange. He shuddered. Can I punch you? Max rudely asked. Okay. Max threw his fist through Zach's stomach. Awesome, Max said. And that is all that I wrote for that story. That's the end. That's the last page of that story. I'm so sorry. I am so very sorry. But that was all for that one. I'm pretty sure that that's the shortest one of the three. So we can definitely try to read another one. We have plenty of time. We could totally read another one. But I will also offer, I have a choose your own adventure story as well. So since we have more viewers here, hello, welcome. I'm so sorry. So the other two story options are, there's an isekai one where there's some mischievous girls who steal like an orb or something and are transported to like an evil guy's lair. That's all that I know. And then there's one about a bunch of panthers. That's basically like the Warriors Cat series, except it's panthers, and it's obviously also a lot worse written. And then there's also a really short choose your own adventure story that I wrote that's about being shrunk, like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. So it's up to you guys. Tell me what to do next, chat. What would you like to hear? I'm not reading the choose your own adventure unless I get audience participation, because otherwise there's no point. You should add a crazy author's note of why you couldn't continue the story. Okay. Let's see. I have a pencil here. Let's see. Zach immediately killed them both. Max was right. the whole time. The whole time. The end. Question mark, question mark. The end? Alright, so yeah, that's the end of that's my version of the end of that story. Zach immediately killed them both. Max was right the whole time. The end? I'm surprised you kept these. I wasn't here earlier if you explained it, but did you find these and the thought of destroying them then thought we'd like to hear? No, so... Oh, okay, so it looks like Isekai got the popular vote. God, that story's so fucking weird. So basically, add a womp womp. Okay, I will. Womp womp. Womp womp. Wonderful. Yeah, so I've had these stories since middle school. Since they're just in a binder, the thing is I have an entire shelf filled with old sketchbooks of mine as well, which we can maybe go through one day. Maybe I'll try to figure out how to like set up my camera in a way where I can like flip through the sketchbooks for you. That would be interesting. But basically, since I just have that giant shelf of sketchbooks, I just kind of move them all together. I don't really look at them that often, but they're important to me. So this was like on that shelf. I'm not gonna get rid of this because I put a lot of work into it fucking clearly, like Jesus Christ. But yeah, okay, guys, are we doing the isekai story? Oh my god, this is like my least favorite one. It's so bad. It might be your favorite because it's so terrible. Excuse me, my nose. Okay, I'm all right. If it says anything, this story, the isekai story, starts with, "No, Shona, shut up!" I think that the characters' names in this story are Shona and Ashley, so I'm gonna have to give them both voices. Let's see. But the thing is, like, half of this story, it looks like it's in the first person, I guess. We'll work through it together as a team. I've sketchbooked between elementary and middle, and looking through it, I like my level of sketching back then. But for original work, I was like, what the hell was I thinking for real? Dude, Len just DM'd me, not the isekai story. All right. Oh my god, this is gonna be terrible. I'm so sorry in advance. This is the worst one. Ashley. Okay. Here we go. No, Shona, shut up. The recording is starting. So I'm Ashley, 13, and I'm with my BFF Shona, 14. We're trapped in Shock's gas room, so these may be my last words. I guess I should start from the beginning. So, I was at school. Shona, me, and all the other middle schoolers were enjoying lunch. Shona, no one cares that you had a tuna sandwich. Anyways, we were just eating lunch when the announcement was made. Everyone listen, said Mrs. Allen, but nobody heard her. She got annoyed and grabbed a loudspeaker. Everyone listen, she shouted. Reluctantly, all the middle schoolers turned away from their conversations and lunches. There has been a complaint from Miss Jennifer here. She motioned to a shy 14-year-old standing next to her. Jennifer's pretty blonde hair shimmered as she waved shyly. She says that her $50 pearl necklace has gone missing. Shona, just give me 5 minutes without saying anything. 5. I don't care that the necklace was $60. Nobody does. Just 5 minutes, okay? Thank you. Geez, so where was I? Oh yeah. She says that her $60 pearl necklace has gone missing, declared Mrs. Allen. The first person to find it and return it will get a reward. Good luck. That's page 1. I don't know why Ashley and Shona are friends. To start off with, Ashley's a fucking bitch, man. That's all I have to say. Ashley's a bitch. Then the bell rang. All of the kids stood up, grabbed their lunch bags, and started chatting again, and walked out to recess. Where do you think that necklace is? Shona asked me. I don't know, I answered, shrugging my shoulders. I guess we'll just have to look. We exited the building. This is so cooked, for real. Shona and I raced to the shed, grabbed a jump rope, and skip raced to the gazebo. I won. Okay, Shona huffed. You win! As always, I grinned. We sat down to catch our breath. That's when I saw a glimmer out of the corner of my eye. What, Shona? Fine. She saw it. Hey, Ashley, look! Shona pointed. I saw a very nice pearl necklace coming down to a big green jewel sitting in stone right in the middle. Shona and I both dove for it. In the end, we decided to both get the reward, 50-50. I asked, wait, what? The pearl necklace? The reward? Oh, return and you'll get a reward. Okay, I understand. I forgot about that. I asked the recess aide to go tell Miss Allen, and he said yes. It seems like these two aren't friends. They're like fighting over everything already. I proudly carried the precious necklace up the stairs. We met Mrs. Allen and Jennifer in the science room, and I handed Jennifer her necklace. Good work, girls, said Mrs. Allen. You can both come pick your prize. She led us to a thick wooden door and put a key in the lock. It creaked open. Shona and I gasped. The room was filled with toys. What kind of fucking school has a toy room? Fluffy, hard, handmade, controllable, you name it. We set off. Shona picked out a giant purple teddy bear, but I was still looking. I was walking around exploring when something caught my eye. I pushed a big blue toothy hippo and a fat orange poofy-maned lion out of the way to reveal a machine. It was a pure white sphere with an indent in it. I picked it up. What's this? I asked Miss Allen, holding it up. I don't know, I've never seen it before, she said, gaping at it. Well, I want this, and Shona wants that teddy, I said, glancing at Shona. Okay, Miss Allen said. We walked into the hallway, out to recess, and to the playground, and the whole time I stared curiously at the machine. Then I figured it out. Hey, this indent is the same shape as that green jewel on the pearl necklace. I'll bet that if we put it in here, something will happen, I said, grinning. Shona saw my smile. Nuh-uh, she said, shaking her head. We are not getting into any more trouble. That month, we had already crashed my mom's car, thrown a secret party and gotten caught, and accidentally pulled the fire alarm in the school. What is wrong with these people? That is all I have to say. I shrugged. Maybe we won't get caught this time, I said uncertainly. Bitch, are you fucking serious? You should be in jail. That's what you said when we made invites, Shona pointed out, raising her eyebrows. She put her hands on her hips defiantly. Come on, I pleaded. It'll be fun. No, she concluded our conversation and walked away. But I regained my smile. If you won't come, I'll just take you with me. Sorry, Shona. Like, it was written outside of the quotation marks, like she's saying it as the author. That's fucking hilarious. I know. I'm sorry. Fine, be that way. Later, at midnight, I dressed in all black and snuck out of my house. I crept to the shed. After creaking the door open, I grabbed a rope, a grappling hook, a helicopter toy, its remote, a camera, a screen to see what's on the camera, a work belt, and some duct tape. What the fuck is going on? I carefully taped the camera to the helicopter, put everything else in the work belt, put the work belt on, and noiselessly set off to Jennifer's house. Bitch, are we burglaring this fucking girl? We gave her necklace back to get the reward, and now we're gonna go fucking burgle her of it again. Only real in the mind of Epic, not knowing if it's real. Sincerely, I don't know what's going on. 121 Pine Street, I muttered under my breath. You must be kidding me. I stalked along the empty road, ducking into a bush when a person or car did come by. I know, Shona. I was an idiot. Just listen, okay? Can you stop being so fucking mean to her? Damn. So I stalked around. I then reached Pine Street. I peeped through the leaves of the bush I was hiding in. I saw a large picket fence, which either meant an animal or a garden. I gulped. Silently, I snuck forward towards the mystery fence. I pressed my back against it when I heard a car coming down the road. I had no choice but to hop it. The fence, I'm assuming. I spun around and clambered up the wooden fence. I dropped down on the other side and watched as the yellow light approached. They parked in the house that owned the yard I was crouching in. I breathed a sigh as the garage door closed. I looked up at the house and realized that it was Jennifer's. I stood up and brushed the grass off myself. Then I looked around. I was standing in a garden. There was a little private playground in the middle of the yard. Bitch is rich, damn! I walked out of the garden and onto the grass. I turned and nearly tripped over a sleeping fat bulldog with a spiked collar. I carefully stepped over him and looked up at the house. I saw a window and got out my rope and grappling hook. Girl, you must be joking me. I tied the rope on, then swung it slowly around and over my head. I got faster and faster and faster until I let go of the hook and held on tight to the other end of the rope. It flew silently through the air and landed inside the window with a clang. I winced and listened. When nothing happened, I tugged until I felt resistance. The grapple was hooked on the windowsill. Whoa, sorry, my entire binder fell over. I tugged a couple more times to assure secureness, then got up against the building and started climbing. I ascended very slowly so that the hook would not come undone, and eventually reached the window. I hoisted myself up and inside the room. I saw an empty bed with a frilly pink blanket and 10 zillion stuffed animals piled next to it. There was a nightstand on the other side. It had a lamp, a contact case, a glass of ice water, and a small brown locked jewelry box sat on it. I spelled jewelry wrong. I rattled the lock on the jewelry box. I opened drawers, looked under pillows, searched the closet, and lifted picture frames, but I didn't find that key. Suddenly, I heard somebody walking up the stairs. Panicked, I looked around and dove into the giant pile of stuffed animals. I buried myself and waited. I heard Jennifer's voice. "God, I'm tired," moaned Jenny, flopping down on her bed. I heard a thud on the floor as she threw something down. I heard her pull the covers up around her. Then she clapped twice and the light went out. Bitch, she's so rich. She let out a sigh of content. "Good night, Mom and Dad," she yelled. I heard faint calls back. After 30 minutes, I heard soft snoring. I instinctively looked in that direction, dislodging a teddy bear that landed on my head. I picked it up and noticed it was heavy. I turned it over and discovered a zipper. I unzipped it, reaching into the soft stuffing, and pulled out a golden key. "Bingo," I whispered. This is so fucked up. Guys, I think Ashley needs to be put in jail for multiple reasons. She's abusing Shona verbally, and she's fucking burglarizing this poor girl's house. I climbed out of the pile, bear in one hand, key in the other. I crept to the nightstand and unlocked the box. I lifted the lid and saw the necklace. One of the pearls seemed to wink at me. I peeled it out of the box quietly. I put the key back in the bear, chucked it into the pile, relocked the box, and crept back to the window. I thought for a second. Then, grabbing a sticky note and pen from my tool belt, I scribbled a note and left it on the jewelry box. Okay, well, bitch, now you're going to go to jail. Then, I slipped out the window, down the rope, and into the backyard. I collected the rope. I must have fallen too suddenly, though, because when I turned around, the bulldog was staring madly at me with its bloodshot eyes. I froze. Nice doggy?" I whispered, praying he wouldn't bark, but my prayers weren't answered. Because he started barking so loudly, I thought the entire neighborhood was going to wake up. I saw Jenny's room's lights turn on, and the bulldog gave me a smug look. I quickly hopped the fence and ran. I dove inside the bush. After I dug the spy helicopter out of my tool belt, I turned on the camera and screen, and using my remote, flew it to the roof of the house. I looked down onto my screen and maneuvered the copter so it was looking down on the yard. I plugged in the headphones and found in my pocket... I plugged in the headphones I found in my pocket and turned up the volume. Jennifer walked into the helicopter's view. "Max, bad dog! You woke me up! Ugh, what am I going to do with you?" She sighed and took him inside. I grinned and pocketed the screen. What the fuck? I flew the spy copter back and put that in my tool belt too. Like, the reason, just the Just the fact that she has these things is already pretty damning. I stepped out of the bush and ran all the way home. The next day, Saturday, I held up the gem to Shona at my house. She gasped. You didn't. I did. You wouldn't. I would. You're better than that. True, but now we can see what this does. I held up the sphere proudly. Shona backed up a little, a frightened look on her face. I don't know if this is such a good idea, she said. Yeah, fucking justice for Shona. Seriously, like, this poor girl is being dragged along by this bully. Oh, come on. I rolled my eyes. That's what you say every time. Well, and you've been caught every time, girl, so it's not a good idea. I glanced at the sphere, then the gem. I turned to the gem so it would fit, then placed it into the sphere. It's isekai time, you guys, for sure. It has to be. The gem sunk a little into it. The sphere tugged. Then it pulled. Then it shot up into the air, me still grasping it. Ashley! Shona screamed. I looked up at the sphere and saw it turning black. It slowly got hotter and hotter, trying to force me to let go. My hands felt like they were on fire. I dropped, period. The sphere spun faster and faster. I grasped Shona's hand. The sphere started growing. It got up to the size of a person when it stopped spinning. Then it burst into light. We shielded our eyes. When I opened mine, I knew that something was horribly wrong. Shona, I said, you might want to see this. Of course. She slowly uncovered her eyes. They widened. We were far from home. Here's how it looked. There's a drawing! The only thing I can do is describe this to you. I'm going to really try. Okay, Minso, take your time. I'm glad you're gonna eat. Shona is guilty by association. That's true. Shona is an enabler. I will agree with that. So, oh my god, how do I explain this? So, it's like, oh my god. It's not like an above shot. It's a shot from the side. And basically, it shows like two cliffs across from each other. And there's like a really, really deep like pit in between. And on the left side, there are two little stick figure girls and a torch. And one of the stick figures is holding like a circle. And on the other side, on the other cliff, there's like a big old like cave looking thing. And it's all labeled. It says torch, Shona, me, sphere. It says very dim light and there's an arrow to the ceiling. Cave/possible way out is pointing to the other side. Cliff, another cliff. And then it says abyss with an arrow pointing down. And then it also says lava extremely far down. And there's an arrow pointing down. I'll send a picture to the Discord later if you're interested. Because, wow. Only I didn't see the cliff. Oh no. I walked forward, feeling my way, and tripped on a root. Just my luck. I fell, and the sphere slipped from my hands. The sphere and I catapulted down into the abyss. I reached for the orb. My fingers brushed it. I lunged again. I grabbed it. Save me, I thought. I looked down and saw lava. Please, I thought again. I lowered my head and curled around the orb. Goodbye, I said to nobody. Everything grew hotter and hotter. Suddenly, I felt a lurch as something grabbed my back. It was pinching me. Ow! I twisted around to see my carrier and saw the tips of glowing white feathery wings. Let me see you! I twisted the other way with the same results. Just get me out of here! I crossed my arms as they lifted me out of the abyss. On land, I collapsed. I saw Shona staring at my carrier. I spun around once more to just see the tips of wings. Oh, come on, let me see you, I complained. Ashley, Shona began. How? Who is it, Shona? Who is it? I begged. Shona grabbed my shoulders. Ashley, it's you, she said. They're your wings. Oh, I held my back still and screwed my head around. I saw that two big, beautiful wings were sprouting from between my shoulder blades where it had pinched. Oh, I mumbled. That's your are you serious? That's your reaction? Just, oh? I laid back down and held the sphere up. This is so confusing. It transports us to nowhere, then gives me wings? Wings? Ugh! What's next? Invisibility? I looked up. Shona was gone. Very funny, I mumbled as I stood up. Shona, come out. I put my hands on my hips. You aren't going to scare me. Where would she hide? Said a deep voice with an accent I couldn't distinguish. I guess I'll make him British. It laughed maniacally. A figure stepped out of the shadows. A tall, muscular man with poor hygiene stepped out of the shadows with a sack in his hand. A big lump was wriggling around inside of it. It didn't look very pleasant. I gulped. And you're next, he grinned with yellow teeth. He held up another sack. I remembered how I had told the wings to fly out of the abyss. I whispered to them, fly over to him, then across the cliff. He lunged for me. Go! I screamed. They flew me around the man. I punched his back hard and he dropped the sack. I grabbed it and flew across the cliff to the other side. I stepped onto the ground and undid the lace on the sack. Lace? What are you talking about? Shona popped out and started punching me. Hey, whoa, Shona, it's me. Calm down. She looked up. Sorry, she apologized. Oh my God, look! She pointed across the cliff. The strange man was at the far end of the cliff. He yanked the torch out of the wall and blew it out. We could only see a little light from the lava down in the abyss. We were trying to adjust our eyes when I heard footsteps, running. Then they stopped at the other edge of the cliff. A couple seconds later, we heard a skidding on our side. So he jumped across, I guess? We ran into the cave, which was pitch black. We ran for 5 minutes, I think, until we slammed into a wall. I heard Shona slump to the ground. Ugh, she groaned. I reached down and held her head. I brought it up wet. Oh my God, she's bleeding? Ooh, that's not good. I listened. I didn't hear any footsteps. Shona, we've lost him. We need to get out of here. Shona? Oh yeah. I reached down and grabbed her hand. I started to drag her out of the cave. Shona, you're lighter and bonier than usual. Have you lost weight? I looked down at the orb. Can you light up? I whispered to it. It glowed softly. Thanks. I looked down at Shona. Only it wasn't Shona. It was a skeleton. I dropped it and ran back to the wall. Shona was gone. Darn it, Shona, I said under my breath. How are we doing up there? She was a fairy and Shona was Violet for the... No, she didn't turn invisible. She just got kidnapped, I guess. Oh my God. A hand landed on my shoulder. There you are. Don't, I began, but instead of Shona, that dang maniac man was there. What a sentence. He was holding his sack, only the lump inside was bloody and limp. I, Cornelius Lee Shock, have finally found the orb! Finally! With accessories. He shook the bag. We are not accessories, I complained. Let Shona go, I said carefully. She's very hurt. He laughed at me. Can't you just fix that with the orb? He grinned. I frowned down at it and slapped my forehead. Duh, why didn't I think of that before? I wish that Shona... But he snatched up the orb. Would be in great pain if this girl doesn't agree with me for the next 4 hours. He finished. I gasped. Shock laughed evilly. I'm like on the brink of death. I would find this humorous, except I'm the same guy that wrote a 100-page fanfiction for high school class. Bro, but I'm embarrassed because this isn't a fanfiction. This just came out of my head. So it's not even slightly good. Dang, dang, diggity, dang, dang. Mean Girls looking ass. Let's see. Did it work? I asked nervously. Of course it did. The orb always works, unless it's in very, very hot or cold water. Why would you tell me that? Hey, I've heard this story. The magical gem that took Cornelius to... I forget the name. But doesn't the orb deactivate if you put it in holy water or something? Then I remembered Shock's wish. Oh, she disagreed immediately. I looked, horrified, at the bag holding Shona. It squirmed and pulled and tugged as Shona tried to get out. A very loud group of screams emerged from it, and the sack became darker with more blood. I threw up and started crying. Bitch, me too. I threw up and started crying. That's pretty real. Sitting down, I asked, "Oh, why would you do that to a kid you barely know that's half your age?" "But my dear, you did this to her," he tisked and wagged his finger. "What do you mean?" I glared at him. "Why, you disagreed with me within the time limit. You still have," he glanced at his watch, "almost 4 hours before you can disagree with me again." "Why are you doing this to us?" I wondered. "My dear, in case you haven't noticed, I am evil." He gave me a concerned look. "Unless I'm traumatizing you," he said, leaning in. "Of course you are," I said. He smiled again. I could smell his putrid breath. It was terrible. "Forgotten again, have we?" "No, I'm not," he cackled as Shona's piercing cry filled the air. "Ashley! Ashley, help!" she screamed. Oh my god, this is crazy, dude. I think, yeah, Shona's pretty much fucked, I think, and it's all Ashley's fault. "Ashley, eh?" Shock put his hand on his chin. "What?" I said. "What?" "Wait, if you tell me I'm your long-lost cousin or something, I will die." No, just, never mind. Come with me," he motioned to me. I began. 3 3/4 hours left," he interrupted. "Humph!" I crossed my arms and followed. We went through a series of tunnels and arrived in a ginormous red room. "Whoa," I commented. There were rooms with signs everywhere. There was a garden room, movie room, chocolate room, guillotine room, any bad or good room you name, it was there. What? How would you know that? I could think of probably a million bad or good rooms. Are you telling me that you could see all of them from there? Ashley! Sorry, I'm pretty pissed. Shock, without even looking, chucked Shona's body bag into a room without a sign. "Get in," he motioned to the room. I sighed and stepped into the glass room. He shut and locked the door. I untied Shona's bag and a very torn, bloody, and unconscious Shona spilled out. I saw a sign in the corner of the room, a sign like the ones above the other rooms. I flipped it over. It read, "Gas room." I dropped the sign and it clattered to the ground. Oh my god, that's a little fucked up. I looked up and saw nozzles like in a shower on the ceiling. There were about a dozen. I saw Shock heading towards a panel with 10 zillion buttons on it. That's very descriptive. I knew that if he pressed one of those buttons, we would die. Oh my god. Okay, Shona. Oh god. So he pressed it, which started a timer at 20 minutes. I found out the glass was bulletproof, Shona woke up, I told the story, and now the timer is at 1 minute. Oh, and I forgot to say, my wings vanished when Shock said Shona's little spell. So to sum it up, things suck! Shock is headed over here. He's opening the door. I'm grabbing Shona and sprinting with her out the door. Bye, Shock! Oh no, my recorder! Oh my god, it's in third person now. Shona's being bullied for existing, for real. Ashley dropped the recorder. She decided not to think about it and ran to the nearest room. Its sign said, "Movie room." Ashley ducked through the door with Shona slung over her shoulder. "Stop! Stop!" Shock screamed. Shona shrieked. Her chest was suddenly covered in blood. It ran down Ashley's arms and face. She spluttered as it got in her eyes and mouth. Oh my, why is she holding Shona over her head? She stopped when she came to a wall. Shock was catching up. She desperately looked around and spotted a huge glowing purple button on the wall. She threw herself against it. The wall at lightning speed folded in. A circle of lime green floor appeared under Ashley's feet and she was carried into the dark. The wall closed up just as fast behind her. No! No! Ashley heard shock pound on the wall. She set Shona down gently and looked around. Pure darkness. Then another circle of light, this one light blue, appeared about 20 feet away. Ashley picked up Shona and cautiously took a step. Red sirens blared. A robotic voice said, "Contamination present." Ashley gasped as a metal glowing orange claw picked up unconscious Shona by the waist and dropped her into a glowing orange tub. Some sponges, all of this stuff is glowing and orange, that's in parentheses, on metal hooks dropped from nowhere and started scrubbing Shona. A bottle of soap was squeezed in as well. Shona got a full-on bath. When it was satisfied she was clean, it dropped her on the floor next to Ashley. All her blood was gone, but her clothes were sopping wet. A hairdryer dropped down along with a towel. The hairdryer blew as Ashley picked up the towel and dried Shona off. Then the hairdryer was pulled back up, and little hooks dropped down to pull a towel up. The voice said, "Decontaminated. You may proceed." Shona woke up spluttering, and they walked to the blue pad together. You're not even gonna give her a moment? Goddamn. Yeah, casual gassing. Yes, what the fuck is this? They stepped on together. The orange tools and green pad vanished in the dark. They heard a folding noise, then 4 screens appeared all around them. They said horror, romance, mystery, and action/adventure. How about romance? Ashley asked Shona. No way! Have you ever seen a romance movie? Blah. Maybe horror. Shona stared at the horror screen. No. There could be like zombies or murderers. Or zombies! Wait, there could be zombies or murderers, Ashley grimaced. Or zombies! Or zombies! Fine. Then how about... Shona paused as she looked at the last 2. Action and adventure? She studied the icons. Looks interesting, she remarked. Okay, Ashley shrugged. She stepped gingerly off the blue pad and walked up to the action/adventure screen. Shona came too. They held hands and placed the other hands on the button. 1, 2, 3, Ashley said. They simultaneously, I spelled it wrong, simultaneously, closed their eyes and shoved the button into the wall. Nothing happened. Shona and Ashley opened their eyes. What the heck? Shona remarked. She punched the button. It went further into the wall and clicked. Oh. Shona squeezed Ashley's hand. A series of events happened at once. All 4 screens and buttons vanished. Wind blew at them from all directions. The walls, floor, and ceiling went bright white, like the sun shining on the whitest snow you could imagine. Wow, I'm very good at similes, apparently. At the first stream on my YouTube, oh my god. Well, thank you. That's very scary. The blue pad vanished. Then they were in another world, again, but it still wasn't home. They glanced around, then looked at each other. They were both wearing new clothes, long silky skirts and V-neck short-sleeve shirts. The clothes were all snowy white. They unclasped hands and took in their surroundings again. They were standing in a sort of bar. There were many ladies and men, but one man stood out. He wore a brown fedora and a brown explorer's outfit. He had a thin belt with a coiled whip tied to it. He was talking to a waiter. Bonus points if you guys can figure out who that is before I say anything. He noticed them staring and smiled. Man, he looks really familiar, Shona muttered. Another waiter walked up to him and gave him a drink. The fedora man took a sip and gagged. The waiter cackled and held up a blue vial. He turned ever so slightly, and Ashley saw his name tag. Lao She, Ashley read. She marched up to him. Sir, may I ask what is in that vial? She pointed at it. Sir, Lao cackled. Willie, have you gone mad? He gave her a sideways look and stared. What? Willie? Ashley, I know where Shona began. Lao looked confused. Ashley, never mind. He turned back to Fedora. As for you, he waved the bottle in front of his face. This is the antidote to the poison you just drank, he grinned. That man with the fedora on is Indiana Jones, Shona whispered to Ashley. You are Willie Scott, who was Indy's girlfriend in the end. Oh my god, she's like 12 or whatever. Jesus. Indy. What's up, idiots? Hi, Evelyn. Good to see you. We're in Indiana Jones for some reason. She nudged her. Oh, wait, let me drink some tea. My throat hurts. Okay. A number of events happened at once. A waiter from earlier pulled out a gun and aimed it at Lau, trying to get him to hand over the antidote. Lau shouted, "Now, Chen!" And a small boy scooted and killed the waiter. A small boy shooted and killed the waiter. He shooted and killed him. Then everyone jumped on each other. A brawl carried on until Ashley grabbed the antidote and shoved it in a pocket in her skirt. Chen was killed, and Lau shouted for another boy, Cao Kan. He tried to fire a machine gun at Indy, but he barely dodged it. He cut a gong away from its mantle and crawled away behind it until it crashed out a window. He motioned to Ashley and Shona and jumped. They took one look at the deranged kid holding the machine gun and jumped. They fell a story or two before hitting a couple awnings and landing in a car containing Indy and a small kid. Indy nodded to both girls. I'm Indiana Jones. I don't know what Indiana Jones sounds like. I'm Indiana Jones, he said. And this is my sidekick, Short Round. The small kid waved. Then Indy grabbed the antidote from Ashley and chugged it. Then he stepped on the gas. They heard gunshots behind them. Indy handed Ashley the gun. She fired once, but the force of the blast blew the gun out of her hand. The gun landed on the road and was soon out of sight. However, she did hear a scream from the pursuers. Nice hit, commented Short Round. Ashley smiled. They heard another gunshot and a bullet whizzed by her ear. Everybody except Indy ducked when another bullet flew by. It was open fire for the chasers. The kids stayed down. Indiana drove to an airport and skidded to a halt. Get out, he yelled, and all three kids jumped out and ran for the doors. Once inside, they sprinted past baggage claim and security and looked around. They saw a jet. Indiana and the kids hopped inside, and Indiana screamed, "Get us out of here!" The pilot was about to climb on when a man with a low hat on whispered to him. The pilot nodded and shut and locked the door out. Ashley had gone pale. What? Shona questioned. He said, "Kill them all," Ashley answered. Shona studied her face. There's something else, Shona said. Ashley nodded. Did you see the jet's door? Shona shook her head. Why? It said Lao She. We're on his plane. Is this literally like a word for word the movie? Like, what is going on? Who is oh yeah. So Len is my roommate. Jaden used to be a friend of ours in the past, but unfortunately we're not friends anymore. So it honestly might be for the best if you don't include him in any edits, just because we're not associated anymore. Yeah, that is all. He's a good person and everything. We're just, we drifted apart. That is all. That's who he is. That is all. Very clearly called June Mulder. So the isekai was able to access different functional realities. Indiana Jones and adventure, action, romance, horror, zombies and murder, walking dead. That would be interesting. I have no idea. Yeah, yeah, Jaden was really cool. Yeah. It's okay. Thank you. No, it's okay. I mean, it was all pretty amicable. You know, things are the way they are. But everyone's all right. So it's okay. All right, where was I? Ashley went even paler. She looked up at the pilot. I've seen this. He jumps out of the plane and we are left here about to crash. She swallowed. Then she glanced at the pilot. He was grabbing a parachute from the cabinet. Then he silently slid open the emergency escape door as he put on his parachute. He stepped outside but didn't jump yet. First he slid the door shut and put a pipe through the handle, sealing it. Why aren't we trying to stop this at all as he's doing it? Then he saw them staring, smiled, saluted, and fell. They never saw the parachute open. The girls rushed to tell Short Round and Indy. The pilot is gone, Ashley screamed. We're plummeting! Shona joined. Indy rushed to the parachute cabinet. The pilot had taken the last one. Then he ran to the controls. The autopilot was cracked and sparking. The wheel was on the floor, and nobody knew how to use anything else. Ashley, Shona, and Short Round all screamed. They were a couple 100 feet away from the ground. Indy sprinted to the back of the jet. He opened a small cabinet close to the floor and pulled out a puffy yellow package. He pulled at the bow holding it together and it came undone, making the package unfold into a raft. Ashley checked the monitor. They were 500 feet above the ground. Indy dragged the raft to them, 400 feet. "Grab hold!" he shouted. They did without hesitating. 300 feet. "The door!" Shona screamed. "It's blocked!" Indy smashed the front window. 200 feet. Indy propped the raft up on the chairs so it was balanced, and they all grabbed hold again. They were on the edge. 100 feet. They jumped! All four were screaming and hanging onto the raft for dear life. This wouldn't do anything to stop their fall, by the way. They would definitely be fucked. Ashley was losing grip. Her fingers slipped slowly. "Indy!" she screamed over the wind. "My fingers are..." She let go. She deserves this. Ashley's a bitch. She was free-falling, tumbling through the air. Her hair and skirt flew in her face, blocking her view. She could barely breathe. And of course she was screaming so loud her ears were pounding. Then a strong hand grabbed hers and she was pulled back up to her spot on the raft. She clasped her handle again. Yep, okay. Finally, the raft caught the air and slowed down, but not enough. They slammed into a sand dune. Ashley once again lost grip of the raft and flew head over heels down to the dune, across the sand and into a building. She sat up and her left hand burst into pain. It's a miracle that that is all that was injured. She nearly fainted. She laid back down and clutched it. It was throbbing. She sat up with just her right hand and stood. Indiana, Short Round, and Shona were standing around her. They walked through the village and saw men and women everywhere. What? That was quite an abrupt transition, but that's fine. He's part of the streams, I guess, when we get into it. Yeah, I mean, I have a ton of streams. You can clip any of them. Okay, it's always good to see you, Neon, so thank you for coming at all. Where are all the children? Shona asked. A villager walked up to them. They were taken, he said. By whom? Indiana inquired. The Thuggee cult of Pankot Palace, the man answered grimly. We'll get them back, Indy said. Hey, we never... Shona began. Great, follow me, the man interrupted. He led them to a huge barn. Inside were two elephants. The one on the left let out a dump. The girls sprinted for the one on the right. Wow, okay. The girls have Ellie. She's a girl, the man said. The boys have Alicia, who is a boy. Elizea, maybe? Elizea looked up and whizzed. Short Round stepped back. Okay. You may borrow them to get to the palace, the man said. A worker was cleaning up Elizea's mess. Stacy and John will help you get on. He clapped his hands, and a lady in her 20s and a man in his 40s stepped out of the shadows. Both carried stools. Stacy went to Ellie and the girls, while John went to Alicia and the boys. Stacy and John helped them onto the saddles. That's interesting. The pencil changed. I wonder if my pencil was, like, dying. Because, like, the text got a lot thinner suddenly. Oh, re-upload the mouth-washing stream. I'll edit it a bit and show the important parts. Yeah, I mean, I would prefer if you don't just upload the entire stream. That would be interesting. Let's see. Stacy and John helped them onto the saddles. Ashley felt really high. She just gripped the reins and didn't look down. Once everyone was on the saddles and secure, the helpers slapped the elephants' butts and they were off. It was an excruciatingly long journey, but they finally arrived at the palace. It seemed like a regular old-fashioned palace. They walked inside. They saw a man and marched up to him. Indiana came nose to nose with... Sorry, I lost my place. With him and said, "Where are the children from the village north?" What? Where are the children from the village north? I don't know. However, the man shot back with, "How rude! I am the Mariah's prime minister, Shatar Lal. I do not know what you are talking about. Good day." He ran away as Indy tried to call him back. A servant came and led them to bedrooms. There were two, Indy and Short Round in one and Ashley and Shona in another. Ashley and Shona didn't even bother to take off their shoes. They flopped into bed. Shona immediately started snoring, but Ashley lay there staring at the ceiling. Something wasn't right. Bam! The door flew open. Ashley switched on the lamp. Indy and Short Round sprinted into the room and slammed the door. Assassin! In room! Knife! Indy panted. Way out? Why is he talking like a caveman? Ashley shrugged and woke up Shona. She ran to the bookshelf and started pulling books. What are you doing? Indy asked, recovered from panting. This reveals passageways in movies, Ashley said. Suddenly she heard a click and a grind as a passageway opened. It wasn't the book, though. What did you do? Ashley asked Short Round. He grinned and ran down the dark passageway. They followed. Indy pulled a lever on the inside to shut it. Right then, they heard a bang as the assassin took the door down. He started screaming in a strange language. Everyone in the passageway was barely breathing, much less moving, as to not give themselves away. Eventually, the shouting faded as he went away, angrier than ever. The four ran away from there and saw what seemed like a vast underground chamber. They peeked out a hole in the wall and down into a large room. It had a large lava pit with a tight cage hanging on chains over it. Behind that, a large skull statue in the wall with 3 glowing stones in its eyes and nose. Shona whispered, "The stones!" Everybody looked at her. At the same time, they all whispered, "What?" Shona stared back. "They didn't tell you guys?" They all shook their heads. "The girl that helped me onto the elephant said, 'Find the stone,'" she said. Short Round interrupted. "Look, something's happening!" He pointed down to the room. The group became hushed and watched. Oh wait, is this... Yeah. So basically, this is the... I'm just gonna skip this page, because there's a lot anyway. This is a long story. But basically, in Indiana Jones, there's a scene where they rip out a guy's heart. Like, they put him over like a lava pit or something, sacrifice him, rip out his heart, all that. So that happens. It's basically word for word how the movie goes, so it's fine. Let's see. Okay. The room was being cleared. "Keep digging! Do not stop until you find those last stones," Ram Man said. He whipped the children out of the room. Once the door was shut and all was quiet, Indy got up. "And where are you going?" Shona asked. "I have to go get those stones." Indy pointed at the skull. "They're planning something." He cracked his whip and lassoed a rafter above. Then he shimmied to the floor and took his whip back. He glanced around, then started slowly walking towards the skull. He touched a stone when Ashley saw guards in the other room and gripped the ledge. She saw her hands glowing white. She turned to Shona. Shona was completely bright white and glowing. Ashley looked down at herself. She was glowing too. Short Round was gawking. Then they heard shouting and a whip cracking below. They looked down and saw countless guards trying to pull Indy into the other room. Then Short Round yelped. They saw guards with their hands on Short Round, who was struggling to get away. 2 guards lunged for Shona and Ashley, who were still glowing. The girls flinched, but the guards passed through Shona and Ashley and ended up crumpled and groaning on the floor behind them. Shona and Ashley took hands again. Ashley realized she couldn't feel her legs anymore. She looked down and gasped. Her and Shona's legs were gone, and the fading away was moving up their body fast. She saw Indy being pulled into the room. She saw Short Round being forced into the darkness. She tried to reach out, but found she couldn't. The fading was up to her neck. She saw Shona was too. Somehow she could still feel Shona's hand, though. That was it. It was now up to her nose. She tried to scream, but her mouth couldn't open. She closed her eyes as it engulfed her. Wind blew in her face, and she felt her clothes changing again. She tried to open her eyes, but couldn't. She still couldn't move anything. Ashley saw the white get brighter behind her eyelids. Then it went dark. She stiffened. Something wasn't right. She tried again to open her eyes and succeeded this time. They were back in the movie room, back on the blue pad. Okay, we're finally back in Shock's lair, all right? Let's see. Small Epic must have been a fan of Indiana Jones at the Temple of Doom. Yeah, I guess. But the thing is, I don't know that much about Indiana Jones, period. I feel like I've never known that much. It must have been my attention span, man. Maybe I really liked it for like a week, so I put it in this story that I was writing. Session over, said the robotic voice. Malfunction. Shona and Ashley saw that where the buttons under the movie themes were ripped out, sparking and fizzing. The blue pad underneath them was slowly diminishing its glow. Proceed to exit, the voice commanded. The girl saw a glowing purple pad in the distance. Above it, a big red sign read, Exit, emergencies only. Well, this is emergency enough for me, Shona declared. They began running. They simultaneously, I've spelled it wrong twice now, stepped on the pad. Ashley noticed a small square button on the wall and pushed it. The pad opened and the two fell into a round, steep slide. There were no lights, so Ashley only saw pitch black as she was tossed and thrown around the slide, spiraling downwards steeply ahead of Shona. Then behind her, she heard a scream. A glow came from another round slide that had opened out of the wall. Then Ashley watched Shona get sucked in, and it closed again. Ashley looked back down and saw a bump on the bottom of the slide. She heard a loud thump, and the screaming went silent in Shona's slide. Oh my fucking god. Ashley went over the bump, and her head hit the ceiling. She woke... Oh, so I guess they both passed out. She woke up laying on a mattress, which I've somehow spelled wrong, in a dimly lit room. She rubbed a bump on her head and looked around. Above her was a dark hole, which she guessed was the part of the slide she had come out of. 3 of the walls were made of cement. One, however, was made of very thick glass. Shona was on the other side of this wall. She slowly woke up and saw Ashley too. "What's going on?" Ashley said. Shona looked confused. She mouthed, "What?" Ashley knocked on the glass. She made an X with her arms, then pointed to an ear. "Soundproof?" Shona mouthed. Ashley nodded. Shona glanced around again, then pointed to a small box in the corner of her room. Ashley had one too. They both opened it. Inside there was a walkie-talkie, a knife, and a note. They both read their own, then held them up to the glass for the other to see. Shona's said, "Solve the code." Ashley's read, TCAHDSOKBREPZOFR. What? Ashley was dumbfounded, but Shona began dragging her finger in a zigzag motion. When she saw how lost Ashley was, she picked up her walkie-talkie and said, "It's the picket fence code, you moron!" What? How is she supposed to know that? Ashley read it again without some letters. Oh, and now it says trapdoor. You have to, like, do zigzag. Okay, whatever. It's hard to explain without typing it out. She looked around and spotted a trapdoor and ladder in a dark corner of the room. She climbed down. Are you serious? It just wasn't locked. She just fucking went in there. She could have done that earlier. Ashley spun around and saw a sand-colored room. However, it was not paint. And it was not sand. It was all as hard as stone. Ashley almost took a step forward. But then, through her walkie-talkie, she heard Shona scream, "Stop!" Ashley stopped her foot an inch above the floor. That's when she saw them. There was a symbol on every sand-colored tile in the room. Except they were not anything that Shona or Ashley knew. "Slowly move your foot back," Shona instructed. Ashley did. "All right, watch what would have happened." Ashley turned and saw another glass wall. She watched as Shona picked up a stone about as big as her foot and placed it on the one Ashley almost stepped on her side. The floor rumbled and the tile and rock fell into a chasm below. The door on the other end of the room suddenly sprouted with thick thorny vines on Shona's side. "Well, that's a problem," Ashley said into her walkie-talkie. "Yes, but whoever left us that note also gave us knives. They must be to help us cut the vines away," Shona implied. Then why did someone just make this escape room? What is the point? Shock is just fucking with these kids, honestly. Ashley reached into her pocket and fingered the pocket knife. "Well," sighed Shona, "let's get this over with." Ashley watched her lean back, but put one foot on each tile. The one in the middle was stable. She stepped on. Ashley did on her side as well. "Your turn," Shona muttered. Slowly, Ashley placed her foot on each tile. The one on the far right was stable. Ashley jumped over. So did Shona. They took turns figuring out this stable tile until the end. They both jumped on land. Then they realized their mistake. The terrible vines had grown for every fallen tile. The vines had layered over the door and walls next to it. It was hard to believe that there was even a door anymore. Ashley pulled out her pocket knife. She pushed the button on the side and the blade popped up with a click. She grabbed a vine where there were no thorns. She touched the blade to it, about to saw at it, but it shriveled away. She walked forward while swinging the knife from side to side. All the vines that touched the blade shriveled up. That's convenient. Epic, how many of these stories take place in an acid trip? You know, probably all of them. I don't know. No, I didn't do any drugs or anything when I was in middle school. I have heard some crazy stories from people around me, but I was always a really goody two-shoes kid. Elon Musk bullies isekai children. That's my next story. It's on its way. Soon, she could see the door. She forced it open and all of the vines covering it fell off. She walked through. Inside there was a narrow passage. It turned immediately left and met with another door. She heard grunting. She pulled it open and watched vines on the other side curl up and out of sight. She saw Shona holding her pocket knife against a vine. What kind of a name is Shona, by the way? Why did I come up with the name Shona? I'm sorry if your name is Shona, because it's a bad name. Sounds like Shock is a mix of an intelligent but also a caricature of a villain, like Doofenshmirtz. Yeah, for real. And also, his name is spelled Shock without a C. It's S-H-O-K for some reason. I'm back. Hi, welcome back, Neon. Considering it sounds like he hooked Shona and Ashley onto a Matrix device in the movie room for Indiana Jones, but then an escape room without anything to solve. Yeah, seriously, he is basically Doofenshmirtz. That's basically what I'm getting to. And there was a fucking gas chamber, dude. Like, what the hell? Let's see. Thanks, she said. Let's go. Ashley looked back and saw another passageway had opened up. They sprinted down it. Shona turned a corner and suddenly stopped. Ashley hit her head on and fell backwards. Oh no, what now? Ashley muttered. That, Shona said simply, staring straight ahead. It was a giant obstacle course with snake pits, axes swinging from the ceiling, fire, traps, etc. Shona started trying to figure out how to get across. If we jump over pits, slide under axes, and... No, if we... she thought, muttering to herself. Or, Ashley said. She pushed a little red button in the corner of the passageway. Everything slowed to a stop. Well, there you go. He is Doofenshmirtz. Because he had a fucking button that just stopped it for some reason. Ashley the human, how completely unexpected. And by that, I mean completely expected. A human? She puts on a wig. Ashley, my arch nemesis. Wow. Yeah, or that, Shona muttered. They easily walked by everything. Even the snakes were frozen in place. They cautiously walked over to the red door at the end. Ashley turned the rusted knob, but it was locked. There! Shona pointed to the snake pit. Ashley looked and saw a glint in the mouth of the biggest snake, a cobra. She reached down and grabbed the key. Damn, no fear, girl. That could have been a problem, Shona said. Ashley unlocked the door and stepped through. It was pitch black. The door slammed shut behind them. Ashley jiggled the knob. Locked, she said. Of course, groaned Shona. Hold hands, it's too dark to see, Ashley said. They clasped them together and walked for a while. Then they heard a click. Shona's grip tightened. Get down, she screamed. Then they both ducked as a bullet whizzed overhead. Run, Ashley yelled. They started sprinting. Bullets were flying all around them. They ran for hours. Hours? Are you fucking kidding me? Before collapsing from exhaustion. Is he gone? Shona panted. Yeah, Ashley groaned and rolled over. They sat silently in the dark for a while. When they caught their breath, they stood up. Where are we? Shona asked. You're asking me? Ashley huffed. Well, I just thought... Shona stopped short when lights flipped on everywhere above them. They were small and didn't give off much light. They were in a small office-like room. Sorry, the office is like spaced weird, so I thought it said off ice. It's a small office-like room. There was a coffee table surrounded by 3 couches to the right. But more interestingly, to the left of them was a chair sitting in front of about 20 TV screens, 5 up, 4 across. In front of the chair was also a button panel. Ashley sat down. She looked over the panel. Close to the left edge was a small green square button labeled View. Ashley slowly placed her thumb on it and pressed it. Immediately, all of the screens lit up, and all of them pictured Ashley and Shona at some point in Shock's lair, or wherever that orb had taken them. They both gasped. "There's us in the gas room," Shona pointed, "and you dropping the recorder and escaping." "There's Indian Short Round and us," Ashley said, "and us in the slide, and us in the tile room and the obstacle room, and..." She froze. "Yeah," said Shona, "there's us right now, but where's the camera?" Ashley and Shona glanced to where it should have been. Nothing was there. Shona stepped back. "What?" "I don't get it," Ashley stammered. "Oh my god, it's Shock, isn't it?" Shona exclaimed. "He's been watching us." "You're right, and if he sees us, we're so dead. Literally." Ashley grabbed her head worriedly. I spelled that so wrong. "I don't want to die." Shona slapped Ashley. Good. Ashley stopped. "Shut up. Hide now," she said. Damn, get it, Shona. Hi, Minsa, welcome back. The Orbinator. That's crazy. Ashley nodded and rubbed her red cheek in shock. But, like, actually shock. Shona slid under a couch, and Ashley dove under the slanted table holding the button panel. They both shut up and held still. Then Ashley remembered. The monitors! She reached up and found a circular button, the only one on the keypad. She remembered that it read off. She slammed her hand down and quickly slipped it back under the table. The room grew darker as the TVs shut down. Only the soft glow of the overhead lights were lighting up the room now. Ashley could have heard a pin drop. Then the footsteps came. They drew louder with each step, closer with each... They drew louder with each step, closer with each step. Then, when they seemed like they were in the room, they stopped altogether. Ashley looked over at Shona under the couch. She was glancing at the space above the panel, then turned to Ashley and nodded gravely. "It's Shock," she mouthed. Ashley receded farther under the desk as Shock sat in the chair. God, all the SH names are really like a tongue twister, dude. Shock and Shona. Terrible names. He sat in the chair. He rolled it over to the desk. His legs swung and almost hit Ashley when he hit the desk. Ashley's stomach lurched, and she pressed against the back wall. She kept her eyes fixed on Shona. Shona was still flat on her back under the couch. "It's on," she mouthed. Then her eyes widened. "Cover your eyes," she mouthed again. They both did. Why? Why cover your eyes? I think that I'm trying to imply that the only reason that he can see them on the cameras is because of their own vision, which is really interesting. "Where are you, you little brats?" Shock murmured. Ashley heard the clicking of his computer mouse. "Black!" he shrieked. Ashley heard him slam his fist down on the desk. "Heh," he chuckled. "Wanna play that way?" She heard him press a button on the keypad. "It's on." He walked out of the room and forcefully shut the door. She opened her eyes. Shona was staring horrified at the keypad. Slowly, she turned to Ashley and mouthed, "Kill." They waited until the footsteps receded, then crawled out of their hiding places and started screaming at each other. "This is all your fault!" Shona yelled. It literally is. It literally is. "Maybe you shouldn't have come then," screamed Ashley. "I didn't have a choice! How was I supposed to know this would happen? Why did you even try?" This continued for a while until Ashley realized something. "You stole the gem back," began Shona. "Shut up! Why aren't we dead yet?" Ashley said. "You want to die?" Shona yelled more. "What the heck, Ashley?" "No, he pressed the kill button, right?" No. There is no kill button," Shona said. Ashley looked and she was right. "My turn." "What the heck, Shona? I was just joking around. Calm down." "Bitch, this is a life or death situation. I'm feeling less remorse for Shona." "Joking around? Here? Up until then I wasn't, though." "What did he push then?" "I didn't see. I was too low to see the buttons," Shona mumbled. They walked over to the keypad and looked it over. "All of these look monitor-based," commented Ashley. "Except this." Shona pointed at a button labeled TP. "In a game I play, TP is short for teleport." But he walked away, Ashley noticed. Maybe he teleported something on the monitors, Shona said. They glanced up at the still on TV screens. It didn't seem like anything had moved or was missing. Wait, Shona said. The knives are gone. On the TV, showing them in the first room with the wall between them, all they found in the boxes were walkie-talkies and notes. Ouch! Ashley screamed as her hands felt a streak of pain. She looked at them and saw that they were red and rubbed raw. Mine too, said Shona, rubbing her hands together. Since he teleported the knives, we never technically had them. We had to claw our way through the vines. But did you see how thorny those things were? Ashley shuddered. Which is why, Shona held out her raw red hands. This machine could kill us if Shock teleported the right things, Ashley spoke nervously. But why not something more major like the walkie-talkies? If we didn't have those, and you didn't stop me from stepping on that tile, I would be dead. He's probably just getting warmed up, Shona said. Which is very bad for us. Ashley nodded. We need a plan, Shona said, rubbing her hands together in pain, and began pacing. Find Shock, get the orb, beat Shock, go home, Ashley said. Sounds good to me, Shona said. That's your fucking plan? Are you kidding me? They walked back through the door into the darkness in the direction of Shock, the orb, home. That was all they thought about as they walked. They trotted along for an hour or two. God damn, they've been here forever. Until they saw light. They sprinted for it. They burst out back into the red room. Ashley looked back at where they just came from. The sign said, Dark Room. Shona and Ashley looked around for Shock. He was nowhere to be found. They walked everywhere around the rooms until they came to the end. Where could he be? Shona inquired. Ashley shrugged and looked over at her. She gasped. Shona, you're... Ashley began. She didn't need to finish. Shona was slowly disappearing. What? Shona saw. She spoke fast. Oh my god, this is all one word. There are no spaces. I'm gonna try to figure this out. Oh my god, he's in the monitor room. It's the TP button. Meet back in front of the movie room. She was gone. Ashley was alone. She sprinted back to the movie room and waited. But after 30 minutes, Shona still wasn't there. Ashley slowly walked away. Then she heard footsteps. She spun around. Shona, where were... She began, but the person there was not Shona. It was Shock. He grinned evilly. Come here, Ashley. He chuckled and threw another sack over Ashley. She thrashed and screamed as she was lifted and carried away. There was a small hole in the bag that Ashley could see through. Shock was carrying her from the nice rooms to the bad rooms. She was thrown on the floor. Ashley heard Shock hitting the wall, then a pause, followed by an ear-clenching screech. She was carried by Shock into the wall he was hitting. It was very dark. Through her hole, she saw the wall screech closed again. The sack violently swung back and forth as Shock carelessly walked. Then, through the hole, she saw a soft green glow from a glow-in-the-dark keypad on a wall. She watched Shock type in the password, 6925. Then a grinding noise, and the dark wall slid open. In the newly opened room, Shona hung unconscious in a net over a small pit of fiery lava. Damn. Shock chucked Ashley's bag against the wall. Then he walked over to a computer and began typing. It was very quiet, the exceptions being Shock's typing and clicking, Shona's rope holding the net up, creaking ominously, and Ashley struggling. Finally, she stopped and watched Shock. Why are you doing this to us? Ashley yelled at Shock. We're just kids, and we never did anything to you. Shock stopped typing, his fingers hovering over the keyboard. You don't know, Shock said. No, Ashley yelled. She thrashed around in her bag more. About the prophecy, the orb, the story, anything? Shock questioned. No, please stop this, Ashley said. That's all that I wrote. That's it. That was the end of that story. The next page is the next story. What a horrible ending. All right, so, you know, out of those two stories, I would say that the first one was better somehow, because I think it was actually written a bit later than the one that I just read. I think. The handwriting is better, at least. Yeah, so the ghost story, you know, it wasn't bad. If I had kept going, I would, yeah, I know it's a cliffhanger, I'm sorry. If I had kept going with the ghost story, I probably would rate it like a, I'll give myself the benefit of the doubt, maybe like a 6 out of 10. Cause, I mean, the characters were interesting. It had some plot holes, but it was pretty, I thought it was all right. The second story, though, it's like at most like a 4 out of 10, dude. That story is so bad. That was a really shitty story. Oh my god. Didn't it start as those two going to find missing jewelry because their teacher told them to? No, so their classmate lost a necklace, so they found it on the playground and returned it. And they got a reward for returning it. And they found an orb which had an indent in it that they realized that the jewel on the necklace they returned could fit in there. So fucking Ashley snuck into her classmate's house and robbed her of the necklace. And then they used it on the orb, and then they were isekai'd. That was the beginning of that story. You said none of your stories were redeemable in any way, but the Foundation sounds like they could be good. I don't know, man. I don't even think the Foundation is redeemable. Seriously. I mean, maybe the basic idea of an isekai is redeemable, but I don't know what that was like a mishmash of shit. That was like barely readable. I don't know what you're talking about. That was terrible, dude. And it was long, and there was like no point to it. It was so long, and like it did not have an end, brother. It was close enough for the very, very beginning. Yeah, you got it mostly right. But wow, all that reading shot my voice, you guys. Wow. Little sip of tea. Sheesh. Well, definitely know what you thought. Let me know what you thought of those stories. I can barely think anymore because that was just terrible all around. Did not approve. Thank you for choosing this. I do still have 1.5 stories to share. So if you do want to know more of them, if you want me to read more of my terrible stories to you, I will. Just tell me. I'll do it on another stream. But thank you for joining me for this one. It does mean a lot to me that you would stick around and listen to that despite how terrible it was. That really shows dedication. So thank you. I need to know your thoughts on it. Anyone who's in my Discord, please give me your in-depth analysis of my middle school story because I'm very interested in your opinions and your feelings about it. Thank you. Thank you, Neon. Thank you, Krez. Yeah. Another stream. Oh my god. I'll think about it. Yeah, it was a long one. I just, I wanted to get to the end of it. We were like halfway through and I was like, all right, it's about time. Oh, hi, Isolde. How should I pronounce your name? Isolde? Welcome to the stream. We're at the very end, but it's good to see you. Thank you for being... It was a bad one. It was a rough one, man. They were questionable, but a story of some girl and their pushover friend stealing artifacts from her classmate, isekai'ing them somewhere in another world with world warping. Yeah, I guess it's fine. Until next time. Can't find the general chat. Oh, well, you probably have to verify yourself. In my Discord, I do have some precautions to keep out bots. So just make sure you read the rules and you'll be all right. Isolde. That's adorable. I really like that name. Well, welcome to the stream, and hopefully I can talk to you more next time. All of you. I love all of you. I want to say yet again that I really, really appreciate all of your support, especially since I'm such a small streamer right now. I really want to try putting more time into making shorts and stuff, so maybe I'll get on that eventually. Thank you so much for coming. I love all of you. Give me your thoughts in the comments or on my Discord or whatever. I would love to chat about it, but I need to go rest my voice now. I'm dying. I don't know if you can tell. I hope you guys have a great day. Make sure to drink some water, eat some water, drink some food, and treat people well. Be your best self. I love you all. I'll see you next time, heartstrings. Bye-bye. Bye.